What's up, boys and girls, and everything in between? It's Chris Parry from EQUITY.GURU with today's 3-minute hit. Probably a misnomer. They tend to go 5 to 7 minutes, but anyway, today we're talking uranium, and we've done that reasonably many times before. But I want you to pay attention today, because there's a company that we represent, Standard Uranium, and I went out onto CEO.ca message boards to see what people are saying about their most recent drill results, and I got to tell you that people are dumb. Like, people are fucking dumb. People are really ratso dumb. They go out, they see a news release, they look at financials, and they say, wait a second, these guys raised $7 million 6 months ago, and $6 million of it isn't there anymore. And there's been some drills put in the ground, but only 12 holes, and where's all the money gone? Jesus on a stick, you guys. Like, can you just settle down for a minute? So here's the deal with Standard. They've got not one, not two, but 5 different projects up in the Athabasca Basin region in Canada, all uranium prospects, all interesting, some with historic numbers. They've gone out and done the drilling on 1 of the 5. They've gone to Sundog, they've smacked a couple of holes in the ground, following up on earlier holes from last year. What did they find? Pretty good numbers, reasonably good numbers, small amounts of numbers, because they only did 12 holes. But in order to get those 12 holes, you got to make ice roads. You got to fly crap in. You got to deal with negative 40-degree temperatures. Why do you do that? Because it's the ice roads that allow you to actually get in there. If you don't have the ice roads, you must be using a boat. So they've gone in there while the weather is harsh enough that they can go and drill and get good numbers. But that's expensive, and you don't want to go out there, put 1,200 drills in the ground when you really don't know yet where you're sticking your drills. You need a bit of data. And so at first you put 6 in, then you put 12 in, then maybe you put 36 in the next time you go up there. Then you really have your data and you start expanding the base. But that's just one project. They've done their drilling on that one project, and now they're going up north to the Davidson project, which is in and of itself pocketed around all sorts of other companies that you would spot on a map and say, oh yeah, I know those guys. All right, so if I can scoot through their presentation to the Davidson, here's what's next to them in the Davidson camp. You've got PurePoint, RNO, Cameco, Denison, you've got Fission 3.0, you got NextGen. This is a who's who, a murderer's row of expanded, detailed, heavily drilled, progressed Canadian uranium producers and near producers. In the middle of all that, right on the trend that these guys are already poking massive amounts of holes in and getting discoveries on, you follow that trend around, up a little half circle, you get to the Davidson River project, which is where Standard are. Now, Standard do not have the money to zero in on that one project and only drill that one project and expect that they're going to get great results out of it. You've got to take these things a little bit at a time. You get the historic numbers, you look at what other companies are getting next door, and then you start figuring out, all right, if we're going to put, let's say, 12 drills in the ground this season, where should they be so that we can fill out the data that we have? That's where they're at as a company. Now, if you're expecting that these guys are going to go and put 300 drills in the ground, you are sadly mistaken. That is not where the company is. And it would be irresponsible to blow through their money putting everything on one project when they have 5 that all have a reasonable expectation that they'll find good numbers. So they've gone to Sundog, they've opened up the drilling there, they've just got some information back that helps them figure out where to go next year or next season. Now they're up to the Davidson project, and they're going to be right there alongside all the big boys, throw a few more holes in the ground, see if they are actually as on trend as they think they are, and get more data as to where they would go next time around. The idea here is you raise money, which they did successfully in a down market. You use that money in the most efficient way possible to get the best possible data to progress everything. Now, some companies will say, yeah, we've got 5 projects, but we only care about this one. Well, then you've really only got one project, let's be honest. These guys have 5, and they're poking holes in all of them. Why is that? Because let's figure out, this is the Athabasca Basin. You've got one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. You're right next door to a whole bunch of other companies that are further along with their projects, some of which are even producing. So what you want to be doing is making sure that you're not just close to the neighbors, but that you're actually progressing things along. Why is that? Because if you're not progressing, you're not living as a uranium explorer, right? It's great to think that in the next 5 to 10 years, cost of uranium will increase. It might be harder to get. It's in some parts of the world where, let's be honest, it's AK-47 country. So what you want to be doing is progressing this thing along so that when the big boys need the next piece to their puzzle, that you're an active participant in the game. You don't want to be just sitting there going, well, we raised 200 grand this year, so that'll be enough to pay my wage and a couple of country club fees. You want to actually be doing the work and showing that you're serious. And then every season that comes along, you want your projects to be a little bit better, the data be a bit stronger, and you don't want to spend the money that you've raised missing. This is the important thing. If they'd raised $35 million, they'd come in with all the drills in the world, they'd pockmark the landscape, get a good sense of where everything is, and that might fast forward things 3 years. But they don't have that much money, right? They've got to go in there, be smart with the cash they have, because you never know when you're going to get another chance to raise $7 million. Go in there, do the drilling, keep things moving year round. If they were only working on Sundog, this would be the end of the news cycle. You wouldn't have anything more to come until we get into the fall and the ground starts freezing up again. So they're moving it around. They're making sure there's news flow. And if any one of these 5 projects either gets off the charts response in the drilling, or the next door neighbors get off the charts response in their drilling, then this thing goes nuts. Now, why nuts? Because Standard Uranium, with all 5 projects and the money in the bank, the $7 million they raised is only a $9 million market cap company. Now, think about this for a second. They raised $7 million in cash. They've put $6 million of it into the ground. Those people that are looking at the financials and saying, oh my God, where's the cash gone? It's gone to the drill program that is going to roll out throughout the summer. So here's these guys. They raised their money. They're spending the money on what they said they were going to do. They've found good results. They're one of the 5 projects so far, 4 to go. The market cap is only $2 million more than the money they raised. And they've got those 5 projects that are all in the sweet spot. This, for mine, is a great opportunity. Now, I don't want to tell people to buy and sell. That ain't my jam. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know what your rent is. I don't know what your mortgage is. I don't know whether your wife or your girlfriend or both are looking for jewelry this summer. But I do know this, that when I find a company that I think is at about half what is reasonable, maybe a third of what is reasonable, and is doing the work to progress what they have, I think that's an opportunity. And I know that they're doing the work because you can see it in their news release. And you can see it on their website where they're releasing video that shows you exactly what it looks like every stage of the play. Now, John Bay, CEO, and the others at this company, I've known them for some time. I know them to be respectable folk, and I know that they are head over heels in love with this property. They are moving it forward at a speed, and I can't wait for the other 4 projects to start getting the same sort of treatment that that first Sundog project got. Let's go to the Davidson. Let's see what's up there. Let's see what's on that trend, what's right next door to Cameco and NextGen, billion-dollar companies. When you turn on the hockey and watch the Vancouver Canucks, NextGen is advertised on the sideboards. That's how big it is. They can advertise at NHL games as a uranium company. Okay, so my thinking with this company is simple. At $9 million market cap with $7 million going into the ground, it's not an arbitrage, but it's not far. It's not far away. Like, this is a very decent plot of land. Now, were the results from the first round of drilling enough to make people lose their shit? No, they were not. That's okay, because you don't need to make people lose their shit on the first batch of holes. You don't even need to make people lose their shit on the second. What you're doing with those holes is you're isolating opportunities. We didn't find anything up here. We're not going to waste any more holes up there. We did find something down here. Let's put 4 or 5 more in that spot next time so we can see how far out it goes, how far down it goes, what it might cost us to dig up what's down there. And hey, what would it look like when we actually process this stuff? What do the grades look like? What does the surrounding area look like? Are we onto something, or are we at the end of something? These are all questions that are important, and that is where your opportunity lies. If those questions are already answered, this isn't a $9 million company, it's a $900 million company. So what you're investing in at the $9 million stage is the risk. Yes, they might go out in their next batch and find absolutely nothing. They haven't so far, but they might. And you might lose the 5 cents a share that you're putting in today and get back only 2. That's your risk. The other side of your risk is if they find something, and there's a chance, and they're giving it a good shot, they're at least in the news cycle. If they find something, that 5 cent stock would necessarily rise. It would be insane for it not to, if they find something. Now, there's always risk, and in a high reward, high risk investment situation, you got to know what you're getting into. It's possible that the $1,000 that you put into Standard Uranium at 5 cents or 4.5 cents might halve. It might go to 0. It's also possible that these guys do the work, throw out a bit of news, catch a bit of a wave, and that 4.5 cents very quickly doubles, and very quickly doubles again. Any sort of good news at that market cap should bring you an opportunity for multiples. Now, it doesn't mean it will. I'm not promising that it will. In mining, it's always a case of, will they find anything? If they find something, is it economic to get at? Does anybody actually want to get at it at that macroeconomic time? Are these guys going to actually pursue it? Can they raise the money necessarily to propel it along? There's all sorts of ifs. But the other side of those ifs is your upside. If a 4.5 cent stock with a $9 million market cap gets a little bit of good news and a little bit of a run, and the greater uranium sector gets a little bit more of a lift, as it seems like it's doing, this is where the riches are made. At the small side. The small side where instead of being a high risk, high reward, you manage to make it a medium risk, high reward. And I would suggest that at this point, the risk is medium, at least as far as I look at it. This is a company that is doing the work and may fail in doing so, but it is trying. And there are a lot of its competitors out there at the similar level or less that aren't trying. What they're doing is they're occupying a space, trying to make it look like they're busy, and waiting for someone to come and say, yeah, I'll take that land off you. This is not Standard. What Standard is doing right now is dividing the risk between 5 different properties in a hot sector, in a hot part of the world, a jurisdiction that likes its mines, at a time when anyone who's into green energy should be thinking nuclear is a growing option. I like Standard Uranium right where it is. I also like Azincourt doing the same sort of thing at the same sort of market cap, also doing the work, also found good indications that they are exactly where they need to be. But people don't like it because they didn't put 3,000 drills in the ground and they didn't have off the charts advanced 10 years results. Give them a fucking break. Let them do the work. These guys, you can see they're doing the work because they're showing you video. There's no one else out there that does as much video as Standard Uranium does. It explains what you're getting into. It explains what they're doing, and you can see it right there in front of you every single week. If I was designing a mining exploration company at the size that these guys are, they are doing the things that I would advise that you need to do to get young investors in, new investors in, bring in people who don't understand the technicals but want to learn. They are doing the work. I love it. I hate that the share price is where it is, but these things take time, and there is a certain amount of education required in every news release that they put out to really show people where they are. The impression that people are getting from the message forums right now is that they're out of money. They only got 12 drill holes, and so it must be going to 0 soon. That is a bullshit take. It isn't what they're doing. The money that they've got is going into a continued drill program throughout the summer. There will be more news, more holes, more progression of this deal. And if right now, if you think that this thing's going beneath a $9 million market cap, man, they would have to put drills in the ground and come up with chewing gum in order to really justify that right now. I think this thing is really close to an arbitrage. It's really close to a place where you're investing in the value of the cash that they raised. I think that's a good thing. It's where I've got some bucks right now, and anytime you get down to 4 cents, I'm going to be taking your shares off you. That was a lot. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button so you get more of that stuff. And as always, look, we're conflicted. They're a client of ours, but we like the company. We're buying stock. We haven't sold anything, and we think that there's something really there. Uranium Canada 2023.